The next topic is going to be specifically interesting because have you ever thought of the pit stop issue? If you're driving through some portions of the United States down in the south and you've got your Mercedes-Benz and you drive into a small town and you say, can you fix my car? And they say, oh, is that one of them diesels there? They don't have spark plugs. They always run into this issue. New models, diesel technology. It took time before it was adapted to the American market, and we had to retrain mechanics to look after these cars. Well, it's going to happen, of course, with the fuel cell industry. We have someone who's going to solve those issues, and his name is Marcel Corneille. He's Managing Director of EMCEL. Please welcome with me Marcel Corneille from EMCEL. So, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
First question, of course, EMCEL. You got to tell us, when was it founded, where are you located, and what do you do generally?
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Marcel Corneille from EMCEL, and we are based in Cologne, Germany, so not too far away from here. And we officially started in 2009 in Cologne with engineering services and also service and maintenance as a second subject within our company.
Mm-hmm. And you yourself have a background in cars?
Yeah, that's true. I started my career in the fuel cell world in 1998 at Daimler in Narbonne with Ballard, with New Celsius, with Ford, and all these different companies used to work there until I founded EMCEL.
Mm-hmm. So your skills are basically in two fields. On the one hand, engineering, of course, and on the other hand, consulting. Do you consider yourself more an engineer, more a consultant, or do you combine the two?
Yeah, that's what we're trying to do. And we see and feel that this new technology needs explanation in all different areas. So what we do is we offer, on the engineering side of it, consulting and engineering for the systems, for the fuel cell, for the technology, for fuel cells, hydrogen and electric mobility, and everything that's, let's say, logically or linked to these issues, to these matters.
And of course, maintenance is a huge subject. It is so fundamental, though, because we're looking towards the first serial production of a car. We have buses up and operating on fuel cell technology. But if we go through your customer base, I believe it begins actually with the manufacturers. You work with them as well.
That's right. So to bring this to an end, we're doing the engineering part. We are busy in the engineering and also in service and maintenance, and that's what we want to talk about today. Sure. And so at this stage, where several products are not really 100% market ready, we used to see this more and more. But on this subject, we of course feedback our information that we gain from the everyday work in the service and maintenance field back to development parties of our customers. We try to, this is part of what we are doing in our service and maintenance work, to give feedback to our customers. We doing these services, we offer these services to every manufacturer or producer of fuel cell systems. We are independently, we're not focused on a certain party or a certain application. We're doing this for stationary, mobile applications as well.
Mm-hmm. And of course, with all those necessary non-disclosure agreements, you work in private with various developers on their specific technologies as they approach marketing.
Yes, sure. I mean, of course, we are everybody here talking about development, early stage products, so non-disclosure is standard. That's of course something we sign everything, let's say.
Okay, the really exciting, because it's such a graphic example, the exciting field, I think, is maintenance. And we're talking about every bus fleet. If it's a diesel bus fleet, it doesn't matter, it needs maintenance. And there are specially trained people, they're highly qualified, they know how to deal with these large vehicles, keep them running optimally. When a new product like a hydrogen bus is on the market, it must be interesting to think about how to develop services for a chain of bus. I mean, they just want to operate them, but they need people who understand the technology. They need to retrain the mechanics who deal with the technology, and they have to train the drivers to drive the technology. So why don't we start with the maintenance? What about the grease monkeys, as we call them? Where do you get them from?
Yeah, so of course there's less grease or hardly any grease involved in the fuel cell technology. So, but still, we developed a modular service concept, which is open and which we offer to the customer to let them choose what their needs are, and these service concepts includes training for the drivers, for the mechanics, for the so-called grease monkeys, as you just said, but also for engineers, for people who not directly work with the bus, but, for example, present these buses to politicians, to universities, to everybody around. And we also do fault and data analysis so that the customer doesn't need necessarily to take care of these details of everyday work or service for the buses. So this is part of our concept, to have these concept modular, so choose whatever you need, and that's what we feel in the past worked very well, because not every project is the same, not every bus is the same, not every other fuel cell application is the same. So we are quite flexible to follow your needs of the fuel cell system, of your particular fuel cell application.
And of course, the bottom line, whenever you're a businessman as well as an engineer and a consultant, the bottom line here is this is a fundamental part of saving money when you start applying these buses, using them on a regular basis, isn't it?
Yeah, that's definitely the case. I mean, we don't have to reinvent the wheel every time on every project, but we see in different cases that not all possibilities or availabilities, that's finally what's important. For example, for the bus company, they need buses on the road. A bus in the garage broken down doesn't earn any money for them. So this availability can be highly influenced by proper service concepts, and for proper trained persons. For example, if the bus driver doesn't like the fuel cell bus, he will bring it back to the garage claiming it's not running. Or so you need to train everybody in the whole chain, taking care of the fuel cell, taking care of the fueling station, taking care of the bus. The driver is always the first person to be in contact with the end customer. He's the one selling tickets. If he doesn't like the bus, he doesn't give proper benefit to the whole project. So our training could also include training for drivers, for technicians, and everybody involved in the project. And we have different concepts for the service itself, like changing filters or checking the fuel cell, doing the data analysis. If a customer is ready for all these technical details and like to learn and like to continue with this technology, we train him to the level needed, required. But if they say we just want to run buses and see how they're doing, we also could do the service and taking care of the whole service issues.
We all know that designer engineers can somehow have tunnel vision occasionally. That is, they will know what the specifications are that are required. They're great to do measurements, how many seats in the bus, the size of the bus, if it has to be low or high, there may be low bridges that has drive. They can do all that, but it must be interesting when they design it and they drive it and they think this is a wonderful bus, but they've never asked a professional bus driver to drive it.
Yeah, sometimes you really miss these very little parts. You think a bus is a bus and a bus driver just goes round corners or just straight down the road. But as I just mentioned, even the bus drivers can or have big influence on these projects. For example, if it doesn't have a cup holder for his cup of coffee, he doesn't like the bus. A bus worth €1 million doesn't have a cup holder for a cup of coffee, and this is his place where he is sitting and he is working every day, 8 hours a day. And if it's not comfortable, he puts the fuel cell bus aside and rather goes around with a diesel bus.
Yeah.
And these effects can be optimized. And this is, as you realize, this is not talking about very specific technical topics, which we of course do as well, but these are often missing bits why availability goes down for no reason.
Do you run into examples where people think, for some reason or another, that the hydrogen buses are more dangerous than conventional buses? Or do you have to train them about certain specific risks, or tell them the risks are not there? What happens then?
What we always try to say is hydrogen is as dangerous as diesel. We don't, but it's just different. So it's not an issue. Everybody's afraid as long as he doesn't know the dog of the neighbors.
Yeah.
And as soon as they know the dog, they're happy, they're friendly. And after 2 days, the sites have got their new fuel cell buses, for example, to keep these example. Having their fuel cell buses, they love it. It's silent, it's nice. It's really an attractive product, and the drivers like it, and everybody, the passengers do. So as long as it's new, not as long as you want to, people like it, but you need to introduce it to the people. It's still the case. Not everybody knows what a fuel cell is, and hydrogen is as long dangerous as you haven't touched it or feel it or have seen an application. As soon as people touch the fuel cell bus, they're happy. They say, okay, hydrogen is safe and I like it.
So it seems to me you have a wonderful business model, because we are moving towards serial production. We are slowly expanding the hydrogen grid, but I have not seen a single client from this hydrogen and fuel cell stand that talks about the maintenance issue. We're now moving towards mass production or serial production of the cars. You can sit down and drive the cars. They're right behind them, and the response has been absolutely phenomenal. People love to drive the hydrogen cars. One of the features I love is that they really are silent. So you must be very happy. You're sitting on the cusp, on the very edge of a mass market, namely maintenance.
We will see. I mean, of course, we're doing not too bad. The business is growing, of course. But the other thing is, people like to forget, or manufacturers like to forget, that there is maintenance. That no product lasts forever, and no product doesn't run with any kind of maintenance or service. So this is something. The product is ready, and then suddenly you might figure out, oh, what do we do? Who is changing the filter? When our company is based in, let's say, Munich, and we sold the product in Hamburg, who is changing this filter? Who is going there? And that's what we can do, being independent of any customer. We can combine these needs. We understand the technology. We know about fuel cells. We know about hydrogen. We know about high voltage in many cases. We have trained people, service personnel, who can do this and understand the technology, even your special product, in a minimum of time to satisfy your needs and, of course, the needs of your customer.
So I suppose the last question, when you buy a new car, you automatically get a list of, okay, a checkup in the first 6 months to make sure this and this is going, an oil change happens relatively early. Have you already established sort of 3 or 4 key things, or a checkup program when a bus goes on the road? At what point do you test what things? Is that already established?
Sure. I mean, we're doing this like every day for these products, and together with our customers who wants us to service their vehicles, we optimize maintenance plans and schedules, and also we go a step further to talk even to the development department to optimize the next generation system to save, I don't know, another hydrogen sensor or whatever kind of safety measures, and make it more service friendly, and think of these costs, reduce these costs as well. Don't forget that this finally the customer has to pay as well, and we're all suffering from high fuel cell prices. We always ran out of subsidies and whatever. But there's hidden money that we can really save and collect and put in more productive ways for our products.
Yeah. Wonderful. This has been a fascinating talk. I hope to see you next year here at the fair and to tell us about the growing market. It is growing. It's a very dynamic concept. It's been a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you very much for your attention, and Brian, thank you very much.
Thank you, Marcel. So, thank you, Marcel Corneille, Managing Director of EMCEL. By the way, visit him at his booth, which is D66-1. He'd be happy to continue the conversation there. We are going to be continuing our dialogue about hydrogen technology immediately. Up next is Hans Katzmeier. He's Director of Global Advanced Bus Development at Dana Corporation, and they'll be talking about the commercialization of automotive fuel cell powertrains. So stay tuned. Back in a minute.